And we are
Yay.
live. Welcome to another episode of Big Talk Light Talk. I'm your host, Rya Lat, and today I'm with another guest. His name is Martin Cruz from the Philippines, and he is a life coach, breathwork coach, and ice bath immersion facilitator.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome. Hello, Raya.
Welcome to the show.
Game, let's do this.
I'm so glad that you said yes to this. I just wanted to connect with you. And I know a big part of your work is also connecting with others. And the first question I wanted to start off with for today is, how did you find the path that you're on now? What led you to it?
Okay, yeah. So I'll share this in the most long story short version as much as possible. So yeah, 2014. So that was like a decade ago. That was like the turning point of my life, my quarter life. I was 27 years old that time. I was going through a 9 year relationship. I started my first job in 2011. So it was 3 years into my very first career or job ever. And I was like downward spiraling. I didn't know if I would work in that job, my first one, for 3 more years for the rest of my life. I was like burning out. The 9 year relationship also was like from third year high school. So 5 years of college, university, and then 3 years in my first work. And I was like, it was a dark, like I was downward spiraling. I didn't know where my life would go. And then I wrote a letter to my girlfriend back then, and I said, I know this is a hard place to be in. I get it because nakakahawa. Like if I'm in a dark place, it's not easy being with someone. And I was like at my worst at that point. So October, November, December 2013, come 2014, she decided to like move forward with her life. So in my perspective, just my side, it's like at my worst, she left like that. Of course, there are always two sides to the story. So, like I think one of the last things I remember her saying was, it's like she was climbing a mountain and there was a rope tied to her. So she said, "I'm gonna cut this rope because if I don't, then both of us are gonna fall." So back then, in 2014, I had no idea what mental health, emotional health was, anxiety, depression. So I just tried to continue working, but every day I would like clock in and out. It felt like my heart wasn't there. And it reached a point where like my soul wasn't there. It was like SSDD, like same shit, different day. I felt dead inside. So I wanted to resign like March, April. The big boss said, Iho, mag-leave ka. Like he asked me to take a leave for 1 month. So it's long. So after a month, I came back and I said, Sir, di talaga. So I ended up resigning from my first job after 3 years. I was working my way up from like a management trainee, supervisor,
Wow.
manager in this waste management company. And then from like May to November, like half a year in 2014, I wasn't working. So half a year. And then, yeah, I just tried to brute force it that time in my life. I became a life insurance agent November 2014. So if I make it this year, I'll be going on 10 years already. So I had no idea. Sales, life insurance, all that was very bloody in my first year. I did achieve. I even did this thing, $1 million round table, like the top 2%, 2016, 2017, 2018. And then it reached a point. wherein it's like if you keep pushing me to produce more, I felt like going to the top floor of the building in Makati and then like jumping off. So 2018 was the time I took a leap of faith. Not that way. Like I got into personal development. So I signed up for a seminar. It started first with Gary Vaynerchuk, if you heard of him. He came to Manila. So Gary V, not Gary Valenciano, so Gary Vaynerchuk. And then in that National Achievers Congress, I paid for this. It was like 1,500 or 2,000 bucks for this 1 day event or seminar. So there was this thing in that event wherein you could take this Millionaire Mind Intensive, the Harv Eker. It's like a money mindset seminar. So what kind of um prodded me to take that money mindset seminar was when you're a $1 million roundtable qualifier, you can earn like $1 million in a year. And I had this really bad imposter syndrome because you can have 1 million in your bank account, and then one day I like withdrew half of it. I bought a brand new motorcycle, big bike, and it cost like half a million. So I felt good in the moment, of course, like, hey, I have a brand new motorcycle. I like this, feels good. The day after, I felt like, what if I did it again? All of my life savings, all those years, wiped out in 2 days. And I was a financial consultant and $1 million round table pass. So I was like, Martin, you're a fucking fake. You're a fraud. Like 2 days, you can wipe out your money like that. So I had really bad imposter syndrome. So I took that seminar. I think I paid 12,500 for a VIP ticket.
This
It's
was in
about 40.
2018.
Yes, 2018, Millionaire Mind Intensive. It was a money mindset seminar, but the thing I liked about it more was the mind part. So it was more on based on human psychology. It's not the irony is I'm a financial consultant, financial advisor. I didn't even learn that. Like even $1 million round table members, top 2%. The dark side is there are people like that who are in debt, not even like they don't have much money, as in they baon pa sa utang. So I'm like, this is messed up. So I wanted to learn, like I wanted to fix myself first, because all the hate in the world isn't gonna fix anything, right? So I was like, I'll start with myself, and then I got on the path because that exposed me to Quantum Leap. It was like this 1 year program of 5 seminars in Malaysia, Singapore. So I flew. For me, that was a rite of passage because living with my parents my whole life. So when I traveled on my own, stayed in some cheap accommodation place for like 3 to 5 days or sometimes more, and then fly back. It was like my way of like moving out or like a rite of passage. Also, no one really encouraged me to take that seminar because that quantum leap cost me like 310,000 pesos that time. So it's my life savings. So yeah, I mean, some colleague even said you're crazy or like you're a fool. Like, so people didn't really understand. 2019, I also got exposed to Tony Robbins. So I ended up taking my first Tony Robbins seminar in 2020. So I bought the ticket, but in 2019, but when COVID happened in 2020, he shifted to like virtual for the first time. So I took Unleash the Power Within in September 2020. It was supposed to be, I think, in Australia or something originally. And then I took another leap of faith. I took Date with Destiny. That one cost me like $4,500. December 2020. Again, I was using my life savings. Date with Destiny is If you look up Netflix, Tony Robbins has this like documentary called I'm Not Your Guru.
I
So
did see that. Yeah.
that's what the whole Date with Destiny 6-day seminar is about. More powerful, I guess, face to face, because you really see the participants. But this one, I mean, he used technology. Like he used, it's not like Zoom. It's like on a different level. So
Did it
galing.
cost the same even if they did it just virtually?
They did. Yeah, it cost the same. So this is why I still went for it.
Wow.
Tony Robbins built it so much, the value. And I still thought it was good value. Why? I was using my life savings now. Convert the $4,500. If you don't, if you do the live, you're gonna have to buy a fucking plane ticket from here, the Philippines, to LA, to like Florida or wherever it's held. So you add that plus your hotel or accommodation in the US, diba? You're gonna spend half a million pesos. Sorry for the people watching. Philippine pesos. So it will pile up, right? How much is a plane ticket to the US, right, from here? There was
That makes
another
sense.
deal maker breaker for me. When I qualified for $1 million round table in 2016, 17, 18, I applied for a US visa 2 times, 2 years in a row, so I can attend the MDRT annual meeting in the US. My US visa was denied 2 times in a row. So when it became virtual for the first time in December 2020, I just took that as a sign. Like,
Mm.
if someone's gonna try to deny my visa again, or the plane ticket or whatever, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna go for this virtual. Now, if you do have the US visa, you have the money for the plane ticket, uh, go for the live, of course. Go for the face to face. I think he's doing it again, like live. So yeah, that was December 2020. And then 2021, um, since that's the life coaching side I got exposed to, I was also attending one locally with Coach Bam Santiago, Life Kite, his company. He passed away last year, Feb. So I also trained alongside him for like a year. So 2021, I also tried alternative methods. So April 2021, a year after pandemic, I did ayahuasca, like a plant medicine ceremony. And then for people who aren't familiar, you could research it. Like it's kind of long to explain. And then I tried Cambo, like the frog venom that they
Vaccine.
put on you. Like they burn your skin and then you experience that. These practices like in the Amazon or by the shamans. And then later on in 2021, that was like April, May, November, I suddenly connect with Mark, um, my ice bath teacher. So you know him. So I started doing that because I just saw him like, what's this guy doing in a drum filled with ice and water? Little did I know Mark's training, because I also trained in his 5-day program. I invested in it. He teaches breath work and yoga, or like the meditation. The ice bath is maybe like the flashy thing, but it got my attention, and of course it's a transformational experience. It's like a shock if you do it the right way, like the right training. If you don't do it the right way, you could hurt yourself. So I really did it calculated, like, Mark, okay, like, how do you do this? I'll learn it like that. And then that has been a consistent practice until now, the ice baths. And then, yeah, Mark teaches the breath work and meditation. We still do meditation practices also, even without the ice bath at times. So that those have been like opening me up to this path and healing so far to this day.
So in the past you dealt with depression. That was what you were going through before in your
Yeah,
darkest days when you said you were spiraling down.
yeah, that's the term I would say. Not clinical. I know people who would be clinically diagnosed and they take meds like that. So I tried to handle it like in a natural method way. So 2014, I was just trying things, meaning a batchmate of mine said, "Hey, why don't you try motorcycles?" That's why I got into big bikes,
Mm.
and it was like an accidental form of therapy. So there's some people who continue doing that. I sold my last big bike, I think 2 years ago, and it was kind of for financial reasons. Like I had to pay for things, so I ended up selling it. But other people, they really ride. Like that's their way of therapy or meditation. And
Did
then
you
I
find that
discovered
helped you?
it did, yeah, for sure. Like if I had extra money, it's still in my dream board there. If I have
Mm.
like a motorcycle, I had again extra money for it. I didn't have to pay for insurance or like needs and stuff like that. For sure, it's helpful. Like even just a short ride to like a cafe, it if I didn't meet Mark, that would be my form of meditation, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to share because
Go
when
for
I
it.
was in the Philippines, and we now have the motorcycle ride version of the Uber and the Grab,
Angkas. Yeah.
Angkas, or Joyride, and
Joyride.
um the family where I came from, it's like, oh, no, it's unsafe, it's all of these things. But the first time I didn't listen. I went against their backs. This rebellious kid. And then I tried it for the first time, and it felt so exhilarating for me, and it felt so liberating.
Yeah. That's the
I probably
feeling, actually.
I probably would never like drive for myself, but making angkas or riding behind someone who's driving, just the feeling of freedom, I guess, the wind in your face and all that. And that's probably why a lot of it's becoming so popular now.
Yeah. I'm the type of person, and I got this feedback from a girl. She said, Martin, you're so fearful. And maybe she's right. So when I got into guns, I got into it because I had to live to a higher standard, like safety. If you don't learn safety, you will die very fast, accidentally, like shooting yourself or someone shoots you, diba? I treated motorcycles the same way. So I wasn't a natural, like, oh, I'll just get on it and figure it out. I went through this Honda safety riding school along the service road of Bikutan and in between Bikutan and Sukat, I think like that. So I went through the basic safety course. So it's like you're watching an anime. They're Filipinos, but they're like those Japanese uniformed guys and motorcycles. And then there's a course they teach you. So I went through basic, like the safety course, intermediate. I think I even did advanced. So I did that because I understand also how dangerous or the risk involved, especially if you try riding a motorcycle on
Yeah,
like the
that's
roads
true.
here.
Yeah,
Like it's if you don't know safety maneuvers, emergency braking, how
yeah,
to
that's
balance, and then you can tip over. Yeah, parang I become a hazard or a liability on the
it can
road.
be dangerous. Yeah,
So it's like the with great power comes great responsibility line from Spider-Man. I learned that with guns, but then I also learned that with motorcycles. Ironically, I'm also learning that with women because that's what they have in common, right? A gun, a motorcycle, and a woman.
what?
They're all lethal. So, but we all love them anyway. So I learned to treat it that way. So some people, they they use that because it their affinity. Like some people, they won't ride a motorcycle. It's just not for them. So yeah, I gravitated to, I guess, the meditation with Mark just because of the accessibility at the moment. Yeah, but if I didn't have Mark, the ice baths, and I was so desperate, I'd probably get a motorcycle. Yeah, and given the
What's what's the
yeah,
ice bath like? Like for people who haven't tried it,
okay, so
and
it's
what
a
are its benefits?
yeah, okay. Oh, I thought this is a test if Mark is watching this. The ice bath benefits, but for a first timer, it if you're actually primed for it well, like you're prepared physically, mentally, uh, it can actually be a fun experience. Now, if you're not trained for it properly, it can be a very painful or like torturous experience.
Traumatic.
Yeah, it can cause trauma if you don't really know what you're doing. So I did it the calculated way again. I didn't even think of it at first, but a colleague of mine said, "Oh, Martin, I see you doing the ice baths." And then I said, "Yeah, I do it with a teacher. I train like that." And he said, "Yeah, if you don't, and you just step into that cold water, the shock, you can drown." So I wasn't even thinking of that at first, but he has a point, my colleague. It's like if you panic, you could you could really drown in the water. So for a first timer, I really suggest like do it with like an instructor or a guide who can teach you properly or teach you well. Once you got it down, you could do it on your own, like that. So like learning to swim or something or float. Like if you never knew, I don't know if the smartest thing to do is to just jump into the pool, right? And if you don't know how to swim or float, diba? So the ice bath, I would treat it that way. It's mixed. Some first timers, they have super good experiences. Like they have a high, they're like, this is fun. Other people, they have a hard time. Like their release is not physical or vocal lang. Like, ah, it's some of them they start crying. Like they get emotional. And that's normal. It's actually a healthy thing when it's done in a guided way, right?
Hmm.
So
The
that's what
guidance
I
is
would
very
say for the
important.
first timer. The benefits of the quick version of the benefits, because I have a flip chart here that says a lot. It it has physical, like top to bottom. It has physical benefits, like the science. So it's good for like your um I don't know what they call it, like their vascular system. So the blood flow, it can be it's hormesis. It's like a healthy stress that's, good for the body. It can make you lose weight or burn fat if you do it the right way. Like it builds the brown fat. If you have like a healthy diet, like don't eat cake or dirty carbs after it because usually you do get hungry. It spikes your metabolism also. So combine it with like healthy food, you could lose weight use doing that method. Mark has this term, he calls it resilience training. So mental, physical. I also believe it's emotional or even spiritual. That's why it's my version of continue continuation or continued practice if I don't have the motorcycle. So emotional resilience. There's this term we learned from David Goggins, like chosen and unchosen suffering. So going in the ice bath is a choice. It's like chosen suffering to prepare. Unchosen suffering are events in our life that will happen, like a parent passes away, right? A breakup, you lose someone, career, something like that, like something out of our control. So we can handle that pain, the emotional pain better if we do chosen suffering in like a constructive way. And then I think one of the last benefits also, just top of mind, is it helps us connect to our higher self. So I'll try to explain this the simplest way, like I learned from 2018 T. Harv Eker. So it doesn't sound too woo or like out there. So our body, our every person, we have like an ego or a lower self. And I learned that it's not necessarily bad. So the ego, its primary purpose is survival. If we didn't have that, then we would die like much more easily. Now, the ego, it has its good side, survival. It's still very limited. So it will think of the self primarily, right? Now, the higher self, so Mark has that term also, ego death. So when we go above the ego in a good way, the higher self is, wow, I could stay in this ice bath for more than 2 minutes. And it even transforms. Wow, like I'm smiling. 4 minutes in, my body's starting to feel hot inside the ice water. So it's like crazy. Like how can your body feel hot when you're in ice, right? So there's like a transformation. So I call that alchemy. It's like real magic. And then you can, when you're in that state, like your higher self, that's one way of getting into it. You are above. Ego is like fear thoughts, limitation, right? I don't want to do this. Like I'll just shrink like that. The higher self is like the unlimited side of us. It's clarity, it's meditation, it's like the noise is gone. So whatever you really like, what's really in your heart or in you, usually it comes out in that meditative state or the higher self. So the ice bath is one way of doing it. Some people do it through yoga also. Some people do it when they're riding their motorcycle. They enter a flow state. So there are other ways of reaching it, but the ice bath is one way of doing it.
Did you get into guns as a way for dealing with the stress as well, like, in a shooting range? And that just came to mind.
Okay, good question. I got into guns maybe when I was like 13 years old. So really young. It was like a part of me that I guess I discovered. I didn't really know at first because my dad is not into guns. He's into like golf. Um, and then later on, like I asked him, like, hey, can I go to the shooting range? I had to be accompanied by my dad or a guardian. And then later on, I find out that maybe like high school or I got older. I have an uncle in Canada who's really into guns. Like they were from here, but during martial law, they flew out to Canada. And when I saw his freaking gun collection or den, like it blew my mind. I was like, wow, maybe it's in my blood, like my mom's side. So I just found that out later on. But yeah, I was into guns since like 13 in my teens. I think once I hit 18, like maybe when I was in college, like I got a gun somehow because I just really wanted to. Like there's a requirement, like you have to have a legal age. There are some requirements or something. But it was just in me, I guess, the whole gun thing. If you ask why I got into it, personally, I think it's also like a way to just stand up for myself. If I wasn't like I was bullied growing up, so I wasn't the strong guy who could just beat anyone up. I didn't like feeling powerless. One thing about guns is like it equalizes unequals. And then the hard thing is when you learn more about guns from the right people, they actually teach you to not use it, like my mentors. Because it's like that. Like with great power comes great responsibility. And like the sad reality is for the responsible gun owners, there's only like 1% of the time that you can use a gun. And it's usually not what you think. It's like maybe somebody breaks into your house, you still don't use the gun. They're going for like your mom or your dad or your sister with a deadly weapon, and then you're ready back against the wall, and you're prepared to go to jail when you use it, because that's how the gun laws are here. It's very anti-gun. So once you're willing to back against the wall, point of no return, yeah, then maybe use the gun. Like that. So the last thing about a gun, why I got into it was it just taught me, I guess, a higher level of responsibility. Because that's how I learned like direct feedback. If you don't like you guns don't fuck around. They're gonna tell you the truth in a millisecond. If you point the gun to your face and your excuse was curiosity or it wasn't ignorance, you will find out the fucking truth, right? Like wait for the bang, wait for the flash, right? You're gonna see life or death. So that's one thing I guess I liked about guns. It's like it showed me the harsh truth very fast. No more like, hey, maybe if I do this, I can get away with it. No. So I love people like that also. Like no bullshit. Just get to the truth. Right?
Yeah, sorry, I just had to ask and we digressed because I was just interested. I'm personally
Yeah,
terrified of guns. And it's the
and yeah,
first
that's,
time I
that's a
heard
good
we were talking
question.
about
It's
this.
very misunderstood. I like guns, but a lot of people, when they see something they don't understand, they're gonna feel the same way as you. So yeah, it's not for everyone also. So
That's
you
why I
have
had
to
to
have
ask.
a level of emotional stability. So I had a batchmate who said, if I buy a gun, maybe I shouldn't. Because if I buy a gun, I might use it. And maybe he was right. So there's some people like if you provoke them, anger them, they're gonna use the gun. You see it in the news, right? So by the way, when you get like a license, the license to own and possess firearms, you have to go through a neuropsychiatric test. Now, it
Mm,
wasn't like that before, but in like recent years. So, yeah, I mean, they want to make sure if you buy a gun legally, you're not just gonna snap and shoot people up.
yeah,
So,
because that would be very scary, dangerous.
yeah, it's hard. It's not easy to get a gun also. My dad wasn't into it. I really had to fight for it or like figure out a way. I guess that's one of the things, like a part of me. Also, like even getting a girlfriend back in high school. I grew up in a very conservative, background, religious. So, you know, it's I don't know if it's harder for a girl, but just have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, parang parents are gonna like try to control you like that. So that was one. Another thing I had to fight for.
No, thanks for sharing that.
All
What
right.
are the three biggest practices that have changed your life for you?
Three biggest practices. So I'll share from recent, because I've been practicing this regularly. The first one I didn't know. Maybe I was doing this when I was younger too. But 2014, or I can't remember. The earliest post I found was 2017. But I started counting my blessings every day. So they call that like gratitude journaling. I don't know what other terms they call that, right? Because you're writing.
Gratitude practice.
Yeah, gratitude practice, counting my blessings. You have it on a notebook, or I use Facebook for mine. So that one, it made me realize after doing it for 1 year, 2 years, 1,000 days in a row, it's like, for me, I realized it's like going to the gym for my mind and for my soul. So, like, I had a down day yesterday, but if I look back, maybe there are certain things it would shift. Like, hey, I got to wake up because I woke up at 6 p.m. Just being open here. Because some people might say, look at this guy, he's so perfect, I can't relate. Oh, I woke up at 6 p.m. And what I was grateful for, like back there, I still saw some light. So once it reaches 6:37, it's dark already here in the Philippines. So I woke up before when the sun was already down, and it's a fucking heavy feeling. Like you feel like you missed the day because it's already dark, literally, right? So I was asleep, and then when I woke up, there was no sun anymore. It's like the whole day passed. So I was grateful for that to still see light. And then I got to do other tasks, as little as they are. I count them. Why? If I don't write it down, I'll feel like I didn't do anything the whole day. So let's say this with you, Raya. I have this podcast with you, and better if there's a visual, like maybe a screenshot, or I just write it. If I didn't count it in my blessing today, I would forget. By the end of the day, I'd be like, what did I do? What did I do today? So when I look back, it's a shift. So what people might think, why is that such a big deal? My default is negativity. When I wake up, it's just fucking like automatic. Like I just see like everything that can go wrong. Worst case scenario. People who wonder like, is this guy crazy? I learned in 2018. It's actually it's a survival mechanism. For people who do get it, like the crisis leaders, Winston Churchill, all that, the reason why they can handle war or like when shit hits the fan is because they already knew it would have happened. They're like, oh, people are shooting each other. And then in my head, it's like, okay, are their limbs intact? Is there blood? Like, are their heads blown off or something? Right. So it's weird, but it's actually it increases your chances of survival. Now, if you keep thinking that way regularly, well, yeah, maybe you're gonna live in fucking depression or anxiety, and life is gonna be so dark, right? So, gratitude practice is going back to the first is it it will it's like going to the gym. Your positivity muscle or your I guess beautiful state, you're like practicing it more. So first you feel it, second it becomes more normal, and then third it's more sustainable. And then aside from gratitude journaling, another thing I did, I guess, I'm not sure if you'd call this like a regular practice, but the dream board or the vision board here behind me. So I started one in 2016, and that one has evolved over the years. So like I added stuff. You can make it more specific. You could put numbers, dates, like that. And then the second thing related to that vision board is in 2019, I took the seminar called Mission to Millions, and it helps you discover your mission or purpose in life. So I put that in the center of my dream board. So people who are like into the Bible and stuff, because I heard this from Steve Harvey. He said that a man without a vision will perish, man or woman. So what that means is, if you don't have a dream or a vision, your soul will die. And I felt that. 2015, my manager says, make a vision board. What are your dreams? My answer in my head was, I don't have any dreams. Like, what is this? Like, why are you telling us to make a dream board like that? So the year after 2016, I just tried like version 0.1 or whatever. I tried making something. And then, so gratitude practice, the vision board, or having a purpose and mission. And then the third one, I guess I would say the practice is, yeah, it's like having chosen suffering. So that's why I would either do the ice bath. So I would call this in my term, I would call this shadow work. So the third one. So why shadow work? It's not just like doing a workout or just go in the ice bath. That's why I made Real Talk Lifeline. When we do like a deep dive call, shadow work is like whenever I have like a demon, a shadow, like a challenge, like I feel stuck with. The best way I learned is to like just fucking face it, right? Like stop hiding, stop running away. It got tiring. I tried to do that actually, um, in to get closure from that 9 year relationship. I do have good news. Now the thing is, it took 10 years to get to it. So last month, February 2024, I was able to get closure finally. And it wasn't through like, I tried reaching out. I was like, hey, can we meet? Can we just talk like that? I just, sometimes you get it. In my case, I wasn't able to. So I got closure finally through a very random uh, series of events. And then the point there is, I learned finally because I found out certain things, even though I wasn't trying to like go out of my way to know it. So all I learned was, hey, after 9 years, it didn't work out. I thought it was my fault. I realized I wasn't blaming another person, but I was blaming myself. Then the next piece to the puzzle was, that person ended up having another relationship and it lasted 10 years. But here's the thing, the same shit happened after 10 years. So maybe it's not me because I had nothing to do with it. The same thing happened. So I was like, okay, Martin, you're not there in the picture anymore. So maybe it's not you, right? Finally. Like some people could have gotten that lesson a year after. I didn't, right? So finally, it's
You were carrying
very,
it all this time.
yeah, but the way I was able to get to it, I truly believe is through the shadow work, the third one, because I went through my personal development seminars. I wouldn't have like earned the right, meaning I wouldn't have been in that space to receive the lesson, to attract it, or to like
Mm.
handle it. I would probably still be doubting. But then I just did put the work into myself and took me 10 years. I'm still grateful. I'm like, at least it didn't take any longer. Finally, like that. And the work still continues. Because after this, what's the next big challenge, right? Like preparing for the death of my parents, preparing for my death. Because sometimes I might go even before them. I know a guy who's my age, or I don't know if he was younger. He passed away from like a
Heavy
rare
stuff.
form of cancer, sarcoma. So I'm in life insurance, so there are death claims and stuff. I think it's like the more I see death around me, I say this in a very good way, by the way. The more I know, like it's coming. So
It's just a
not
matter of when.
of when. I'm not saying this to scare people, right? I took training in estate planning. Estate planning is about preparing for your death because you pass down properties to your family. Because if you don't, there are taxes. It's like some real adulting shit. And look, if you don't own anything, fine. But then if you own property, real estate, investments, if you don't prepare, some of the horror stories, crazy. Your children can end up fighting, families end up
It'd be
killing
messy.
each other. Yeah. I mean, I learned that line from my mentor, Attorney Cabrera, from his father. He said, blood is thicker than water. We get that, family, diba? But money is thicker than blood. And it sounds like so ugly, but we know that it's like half true, right? Because, families have vendettas and kill over that. So, yeah, that,
I
that helped.
wanted to talk about Real Talk Lifeline.
Yeah.
And the Facebook group that you established in case there are people who want to join, maybe you can invite them.
Yeah. I started with a Facebook group. Now I'm evolving. So here doing lives with you. I also have a YouTube channel. So I wish to share this also on the channel after uh you finish this live and then you get a copy. I started with that Facebook group. I think it was like September or sometime in 2020. So that was like an output because I signed up for this Build Your Own Tribe course by Jesse Ecker. Jesse Ecker is the son of T. Harv Ecker, the guy who made the whole Millionaire Mind Intensive seminar and Quantum Leap. He's like the OG. Jesse Ecker, I think he's around my age. So he made his own course, build your own tribe. And my graduation or output was to make that group. So
Mm.
I created Real Talk Lifeline during that time. And then I was like, how else can I grow or expand this? It was a big leap for me. So like we're learning from each other here, Raya. When I started to do lives, that group kasi only has like 50 or less than 100 people in it. When I started doing lives on my Facebook profile, like 2,500 people. So imagine opening up and talking about this stuff, not just to a private group, but instantly like your public profile. So I kind of took that leap also. So yeah, it's like putting yourself out there. And that's what I've been like experimenting or working on. It helps if you really do believe in your mission, right? And then I meet people like Mark, people who are collaborative, um, mentors, people who aren't selfish. Like I want to be in a group like this because the title here is Big Talk, Light Talk. If you want to go big, it's a leap of faith. You're putting yourself out there. But when you say light talk, it's like the truth, right? So I'm testing it because the darkness can always attack. People can always talk behind the back and stuff. But like as long as we're sharing our truth, I believe the right people they'll get it. Like we'll attract the right people. Are there gonna be haters along the way? Yeah, I mean I already am experiencing that on my YouTube channel. Like
Oh,
I have 81 subscribers so far. When I have upload a video, sometimes automatically there's this person who like thumbs downs it. So I would get affected by it at times, not as much anymore, but I just learned to understand that if somebody does that, if somebody will thumbs down me, you, or something like that, make a nasty comment, it's really more of a reflection of them. Because imagine if I went out of my way, Raya, to like thumbs down your videos or someone else's content. Like I must be in a really dark place, even worse than I am now, to like do that. Because it's like I'm going out of my way to make life shit or hell for another person. And I never wish that upon anyone. So yeah, I mean, it's evolution so far, progress. Maybe when I get big, like we'll reconnect and say, hey, I already have like 1,000, 10,000, 100,000.
You'll have more haters
It's the price to
when
pay.
you're
But
really.
yeah,
That's
but
what they say, right? It comes
yeah,
with
I
this.
mean, even the biggest celebrities, like the sweetest celebrities, right? They're still gonna have like some person bickering or hating on them. So local celebrity yun, like kunyari, like Heart Evangelista. Or what more if you're an Ariana Grande,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, it's just part of reality.
You also hold retreats, right? I thought you might also want to invite our audience in case they're
Yeah.
interested. Like, where can they find you?
Oh yes.
How can
So
they get updates? And then I'll
yeah,
also try to add all the stuff in the bio if I can edit it later on.
yeah. So the team, we're actually having a retreat this weekend. Uh, at Mark's place, his lake house in Talisay, Batangas. So you can find us on omshanti.retreats. That's our Instagram. So that's the team. Mark, me, Pam, the shaman, so Chan, Mama Grace, Gilly. I think we also have new people helping out. Sent. So yeah, we're gonna have like a retreat this weekend for the ice bath, ayahuasca. We had one I think a year ago or previous na summer retreat, and it's mainly for the ice baths. Speaking of, like it's summer here now, so a lot of people, the more they want to do the ice baths because it's so hot, like they're sweating.
It would be a
It's
good time to do the ice bath.
yeah, it's still a challenge, but it's way more enticing. Like instead of like sweating and like oh this heat, it suddenly I'm like I want to go into that tub filled with ice, right? So we'll still do the training, we'll still do the guidance. So you're still gonna get, the benefits out of it. So yeah, omshanti.retreats. And then Real Talk Lifeline, what I do is really more of life coaching. So I do like this, like one on one with you. I'm also kind of evolving it. So I'm integrating the stuff I'm learning from Mark, but the whole point is a transformation. It's for anyone who feels stuck in their life and then they just wanna like, you know, have a breakthrough, like do the inner work. I call it like the shadow work. And then yeah, just so you get unstuck, like you get the closure or the process you need to just release and move forward.
Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode. Is there one message that you would perhaps like to leave the audience with,
Yeah,
or like a favorite or something?
yeah, so two words for me is reach out. This is for any person who's watching this and you reach this far and you're like, okay, you guys are talking, but you don't get it. There's still something like I have shit to deal with or I need help. Reach out. Like comment down below, right? Comment reach out. Comment deep dive. comment big talk, light talk. And yeah, we'll reach out to you because that's the hardest thing. Like the way my life changed or transformed was when I reached out for help. I just admitted like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I need help. And I got this far. I'm still here. Grateful like I didn't end up in jail, a drug addict, or kill myself. I'm still here. So and nothing wrong.
Still
If you
getting up every day,
still getting up, get up and show up like what we're doing
showing
now.
up.
Yeah. How
Thanks so
about you,
much.
Raya? Maybe you have your closing words.
My closing words. I'm really is a feeling. I'm
Yeah.
feeling really grateful that we connected today and that you um, came on here to share a few words with our audience. And yeah, I couldn't have said it better. If you're having a tough time, yeah, reach out. There's always support out there, but you have to first speak up because sometimes people don't know and they don't know what they don't know. So how can they help you if they don't know that you're struggling? So well said.
I'll add super quick, and that's it. Talaga is when you also speak up and reach out, it also gives consent to other people to help you because it doesn't work if I just try to go up to you and say, "Hey, I can help you change your life." You have to want to do it, and that's how it works. If you don't do that on your side, it's gonna be forced. It's not gonna work. So yeah, I mean, if you want this, if you want to get better, then just reach out.
Just reach out. Thank you so
Thank
much, everyone. Thank you, Martin.
You're welcome.